speaking of, this will actually bridge us into a little bit of hashtag resistance nonsense. Cynthia Nixon has apparently she acted with Sam once. That's all I really know about her.
Yeah, they went on a date or a dinner. They had dinner.
Oh, in a TV show.
Yeah.
Oh, right. They went on.
Yeah, he didn't swallow his steak. It was like Sam's evil twin who loves L.A. and won't eat his food.
Every one of my female friends knows that scene too. The second I bring that up,
I've had a similar experience. I had no idea. So here's what I'll say about Cynthia Nixon. A lot of people, like Sam, definitely has a really positive impression of her. I ran her by Nomiki. Sure, I'm mispronouncing her name. But Nomiki's all over. Nomiki Konst is all over New York politics. I said, hey, Cynthia's legit. She said, yup, definitely. The other thing that came out about Cynthia Nixon is that apparently she also has spoken out with basic human decency and reflected her politics speaking about Israel-Palestine, which means that Alan Dershowitz hates her. So, in between the fact that she's going after Andrew Cuomo, who is one of the biggest scumbags in American politics, who is a bagman for charter schools in Wall Street, who sits back and allows a totally corrupted process in Albany and this independent Democrats who give power to Republicans and allow him to sit back and not govern to the left, govern to the center right where he wants to be. Protect the oligarchs where he wants to be. If she can take a chunk out of him and destroy his national prospects, that's an amazing service in and of itself. Now also Dershowitz doesn't like her, and she's co-signed by people that I respect. It seems like Cynthia Nixon is somebody that I'm down to get on board with, and here she is announcing her candidacy, and I think intelligently putting her focus on economics and inequality, which of course are the defining issues.
Mild protest. What was it? Algebra. Yeah.
New York is my home.
How you doing?
I've never lived anywhere else.
Yeah.
When I grew up here, it was just my mom and me in a one-bedroom, fifth-floor walk-up. New York is where I was raised and where I'm raising my kids. I'm a proud public school graduate and a prouder public school parent. I was given chances I just don't see from most of New York's kids today. Our leaders are letting us down. We are now the most unequal state in the entire country, with both incredible wealth and extreme poverty. Half the kids in our upstate cities live below the poverty line. How did we let this happen? I love New York. I've never wanted to live anywhere else, but something has to change. We want our government to work again on health care, ending mass incarceration, fixing our broken subway. We are sick of politicians who care more about headlines and power than they do about us.
It can't just be business as usual anymore. If we're going to get at the root problem of inequity, we have to turn the system upside down. We have to go out ourselves and seize it. This is a time to stick our necks out, to remember where we came from. This is a time to be visible. This is a time to fight.
I'm Cynthia Nixon. I'm a New Yorker. And together, we can win this fight.
Next up, Albany.
I mean, look, I support this. And I also say, look, Andrew Cuomo is, a beyond scumbag, and they're going to go at her with everything. There's nothing but upside for this. It's an incredible uphill fight. But at the very least, if she could really take a significant chunk out of him and kneecap him for 2020, then that has enormous value. And she's identifying the right issues there and, who Cuomo is and what he's beholden to.
Yeah, and people are already talking shit about her for being a celebrity. Like, they're tired of celebrities running for office. But, like, if a celebrity has good politics, and as I understand it, she does have a history of real activism.
She has a history of real activism. Also, aren't these the same idiots that 3 weeks ago wanted Oprah to run for president based off of a Grammy speech when Oprah's primarily known? Like, I like Oprah. I get Oprah has an inspiring story. Her primary public contributions have been The Secret and Obama. And you want her to run for president based off of a Grammy speech, and now you have a problem with Cynthia Nixon? Get the fuck out of here.
I don't know if these are the same people. But
some of them are the same. I'll show you one of these.
I would not be surprised because, Cynthia seems pretty far to the left for a mainstream Democrat. But if a celebrity has good politics and they're smart and a history of activism and they're willing to use their celebrity as a tool to make change and fix the goddamn subways, because we all know that's a huge problem, then, more power to her.
I mean, you have to look at all these people's constituencies, right? And celebrities often have a pretty wide popular constituency. It depends what kind of celebrities they are, right? If it was like, I don't know, some like Ted Nugent, we're not a huge fan of that, like what he would bring to the table. But like compared to Cuomo, of course we want Cynthia Nixon.
And also, I mean, let's be real. Okay. Zephyr Teachout ran a good primary against Andrew Cuomo. She did incredibly well. She's probably like the ideal scenario. And incidentally, Zephyr Teachout has agreed to be a treasurer on Cynthia Nixon's campaign. So, okay, she's, political activist, legal scholar, left citizen candidate with a great policy agenda. Zephyr Teachout's a great candidate. We all supported her running against Andrew Cuomo. She did really well. That's one scenario, okay? But then what are the other scenarios? The other scenarios are a politician from inside the system taking Cuomo, which is exceedingly unlikely. And even if they were much better than Cuomo, they're still going to have all sorts of question marks around them if you're looking at it from a left perspective, almost definitionally. Then who are the other types of people in the system we have now, which we need to change? But who are the other types of people that can get into the race? An independently wealthy plutocrat, or a celebrity. That's it. That's it. Yeah. And, as I say, someone like Zephyr Teachout was in the kind of only margin of someone who had a profile and policy experience and legal experience and activism and stature and network that wasn't celebrity and wasn't wealthy and wasn't from the party system and machine. But that's, exceedingly rare. So inside that configuration, yeah, a citizen, activist, actor, celebrity with a real track record in left politics, great. I'm all for it. I look forward to supporting and voting for Cynthia Nixon.
Someone's saying in the comments, too, that Rosario Dawson should also be in charge of something.
That's another great example.
She's awesome.
Rosario Dawson's incredibly intelligent. She's on point with her politics. She's an activist. She understands the issues. Like, that's the thing is don't be petty and silly in the opposite direction, right? Like, there's going to be some people that are, they're actors or they're musicians or they're athletes. They're also really sophisticated. They're also on point. They also have good values, and that's a good thing. That's a benefit to our politics, and I think Cynthia Nixon is one of those people. Tom Watson, what was his position? He's some type of Hillary stan.
He's going like, actually.
Yeah, this is very actually type of stuff. I don't really know who he is. I know he's one of these Hillary types.
Oh, he co-founded with Peter Dow, HillaryMen.com.
Okay, so obviously he's a ridiculous, silly person. But I just bring this up.
Hillary bro.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I didn't realize he was a Peter Dow associate. It doesn't get more kind of laughable than that. But Tom Watson, and again, whatever. I'll give myself just the note of this for 30 seconds. I and anybody who's supported Bernie Sanders because we actually care about things like single-payer health care, dealing with poverty, the cholera, war crimes in Yemen, which the United States is supporting Saudi Arabia and the UAE doing. We supported Bernie Sanders for that, among many other reasons. And also, I appreciate the fact that Bernie Sanders was the only frontline politician in American politics for decades to talk about poverty, to talk about market concentration, to talk about welfare reform, which the Clintons and almost every mainline Democrat that was around in the 90s supported, that he talked about it being mean-spirited and cruel and racist and classist and sexist. I like that. Now, I was accused by, and we all were accused, of being sexist by a bunch of fucking mediocrities and hacks like Tom Watson. And I'm not going to do this much because hypocrisy doesn't matter, and pointing out these people's nonsense is like, you know, it just tells itself. But he tweeted this out about Cynthia Nixon. And be aware, too, in this context, Andrew Cuomo faces no viable Republican challenger. The Democratic nominee is going to be the next governor of New York, barring a massive unforeseen black swan event. Okay? Tom Watson quotes, and he's quote tweeting the Associated Press. The Associated Press tweet is, breaking, former Sex and the City star Cynthia Nixon says on Twitter that she's running for governor. And Tom Watson of the Men for Hillary says, he says, I hope she acquaints herself well and highlights important policy issues, but I'm personally going to pass at this one. Too much at stake. Now, what the fuck does that mean? Too much at stake for Andrew Cuomo to try to, I don't know, maybe privatize the subway system if he ever gets around to dealing with the crisis of the subway system and public transportation? Too much at stake to not do anything on increasing taxes for the wealthy of the state to redistribute for needed social programs? Too much at stake to be a right-wing governor who backstabs and undermines Bill de Blasio at every turn, even when he's asking for the bare minimum of a modestly liberal agenda like universal pre-K and raising taxes on the oligarchs to pay for it, to being a bagman for Charters and Wall Street every single step of the way in a race who enables Republicans in the state Senate in a race that the Democrat is guaranteed to win? What's at stake, Tom? You know, I could only conclude that you're not comfortable with a woman leading us. Just a shame. I see a lot of like male tension or what. I don't even know all the phraseology that these fucking idiots use. But I could just only describe this as sexism. And I feel comfortable in my manhood enough to support a powerful and strong woman like Cynthia Nixon. So I'm just disgusted by Tom Watson. I'm just amazed of just rampant misogyny that not cool. That he or any other of these people that doesn't immediately support Cynthia Nixon, or maybe, let me be more charitable. You know what? Maybe just as we supported a actual candidate who had actual policies to benefit actual people, maybe you just don't care about income inequality. Maybe you don't want to do anything about Wall Street or public education or universal pre-K. Maybe you just want rampant inequality with a little bit more representation. Cool. Maybe you're not sexist. Maybe your politics are just garbage. And I'll attack you on that without all of the bullshit, Tom.
Not a good look, Tom.
Not a good look. If I was in a room with you, I'd slap you happily. The fuck out of here. Jesus Christ, these people are disgusting.
No shame.
Zero shame. Zero shame, zero game. You know, usually when you say no and someone has no shame, that like implies that they've got a little swag to them. But when you have no shame and no game, you're just irredeemable. Like what do you bring to what does Tom Watson bring to the table? Why do I know he exists? I mean, what is more pathetic? 2018, we have this thing is president. Oligarchy and neo-fascists rising across the globe, from India to Italy to Russia to the United States to Turkey. We have a gun crisis, climate changes, and these people are sitting on Twitter in 2018 building a cult around a discredited center-right candidate who couldn't even bag an election from a marmalade-faced weirdo with a scam college who essentially muses publicly about wanting to screw his daughter. And they couldn't win. And their response, and they won't even support Cynthia Nixon. What the hell is the matter with these people?
Well, I don't. Who is Tom Watson? Did he work on the Hillary campaign in some capacity?
I don't know.
Hillary men.
I'm going to guess.
He probably did some consulting.
In addition
whatever.
to,
he's a barnacle.
In addition to his, sort of left neoliberal ideology. I'm going to guess he depends on this particular system for a job.
Right. So at least he has that excuse. That, you know what? If you don't directly financially benefit from this, you're a total freak. You're right. At least Tom presumably has some type of business interest here.